Breathe in, dear traveler, slowly, deeply, wherever this video finds you, in a quiet bedroom at midnight, while the glow of a nightlight flickers across the ceiling, on a cross-country train whose rain-streaked windows reflect your own half-sleeping face, or in the thin, stolen stillness between meetings, family duties, and the soft hum of everyday machinery. Let the cool air swirl through your ribs and graze an inner doorway most of us rarely notice. If you linger there for a heartbeat, you might hear a faint rustle beyond that threshold, like pages turning in a vast, unseen library. Tonight, we will push that door ajar and step inside those shadow-lit halls to ask a daring question. Is a spiritual awakening already approaching you, heralded by 5 subtle signals so quiet they rarely rise above the clamor of daily life? Mystics across centuries insist that awakening seldom arrives with trumpets and lightning. Instead, it taps gently, patiently, at the edges of awareness. One sage likened it to snow falling in a dream, soft, soundless, yet altering the entire landscape by dawn. But modern life is loud. Phones vibrate like restless insects. Inboxes swell like high tide against fragile docks. And news feeds throb with 24-hour urgency. Inside this carnival of stimulus, those gentle taps can sound like distant carpenters working in another town. We shrug off an uncanny dream, blame an unexpected wave of compassion on mood swings, or dismiss déjà vu as too much caffeine. Yet each flicker of strangeness is a bright stitch in destiny's flag, urging us toward a frontier we have no name for yet. Stay with me if you can, until the final syllable. This exploration is not a lecture, it is a mirror polished by story, metaphor, and honest questioning. As each sign emerges, test it against the intimate timeline of your own memories. Has something within you shifted this past week? Some fleeting vision, an unaccountable tug of sympathy, a sudden hunger for silence? Maybe you have already stepped across the threshold and simply lack the language to claim it. By the end of our journey, language will be yours to wield like a lantern. Picture the terrain ahead, dim forest paths where owls trade riddles with the moon, sudden clearings drenched in starlight, winding streams that murmur secrets in a tongue older than stone. We will travel together, 2 wayfarers, comparing maps beneath a swaying lantern, testing the compass not of north and south, but of wonder and recognition. And as we wander, we will try to glimpse those 5 signs before they ignite fully inside us, altering everything we know about self, purpose, and reality. But first, let us acknowledge a simple truth. You would not have clicked on a video about spiritual awakening if something in you were not already stirring. Perhaps it is a whisper no louder than an autumn leaf, landing on water, yet here you are, listening. That intention alone is significant, for attention is the mother of transformation. Great shifts often begin not with grand decisions, but with the fragile choice to pay closer heed. So let us pay that heed slowly, deliberately, by examining the atmosphere of your present life. Maybe certain hobbies that once thrilled you now feel strangely flat, like soda left uncapped overnight. Perhaps friendships organized around gossip or competition suddenly feel brittle, their laughter echoing a hollow note you never heard before. Or you find yourself pausing at the doorway of your office cube, questioning if the fluorescent hum and spreadsheets are truly the sum of your soul's ambition. Do you notice these subtle dislocations? They are not failures of gratitude. They may signal the psyche's quiet preparation for broader horizons. Consider, too, your emotional weather vane. Has it become more sensitive, spinning at the faintest change in another's mood? A stranger's sadness on the bus lingers in your chest like low thunder hours later. A child's spontaneous delight fills your own eyes with stinging tears. Psychologists might label this heightened empathy. Mystics might call it the heart's petals opening. Whether lens of science or symbol both agree, something is widening an aperture through which life's raw frequencies now pour in with unfiltered clarity. Then there is that flicker of intuition that sidesteps logic yet lands with uncanny accuracy. You think of an old friend and moments later your phone pings with their message. You feel an unshakable no to a seemingly perfect opportunity, only to discover later the hidden snare you narrowly escaped. Like a silent river beneath city streets, this intuition flows beneath conscious thought, surfacing where cracks appear. You may question its legitimacy, is it coincidence? But it persists, wearing grooves into certainty until you are obliged to listen. If these whispers of change feel familiar, you are not alone. Great thinkers from Plotinus to Teresa of Avila, from Rumi to Carl Jung, each describe comparable tremors beneath the crust of ordinary awareness, tremors signaling a seismic reconfiguration of identity and purpose. In our era, however, the terrain is complicated by the velocity of information. It is easy to misinterpret spiritual ripples as burnout, to label inner retrieval as antisocial withdrawal, or to treat cosmic nudges as mere glitches in mental code. The result? Many postpone their awakening, medicating symptoms without exploring causes, numbing the very signals that could lead them to wholeness. Yet the call persists. It persists because it is a call from your own deepest nature, what traditions variously term the soul, the higher self, Buddha nature, or Christ within. Names differ. The essence is singular, a source of inexhaustible wisdom patiently guiding you home. Ignore it, and the call may resurface as restlessness, existential dread, or an unshakable sense that something important has been misplaced. Attend to it, and the path unfolds, sometimes labyrinthine, sometimes luminous, always transformative. This path will demand courage, not the battlefield kind, but the quieter bravery of dismantling familiar masks. As you walk, some relationships will stretch thin like old elastic. Certain ambitions may fall away like cracked husks. Yet spaces left empty will fill with authenticity, new allies, unexpected purpose. The poet Antonio Machado wrote, "Traveler, there is no path. The path is made by walking." Tonight, by listening, we make the first footprints. A practical note before we delve into the 5 signs. Adopt a stance of relaxed skepticism. Honor your rational mind. It is not the enemy. Let logic question mystical hunches, and let mystical hunches expand logic's playing field. This balanced scrutiny creates fertile ground, where insight can root deeply, rather than blow away like dandelion fluff. Keep a notebook nearby. Scribble fleeting impressions, a color that feels significant, a synchronicity, a sudden aversion to noise. In weeks to come, these scattered dots may connect into constellations. And now, one final inhalation together. Feel the breath rise and fall, as constant as tides, guided by a moon you cannot see. That unseen moon tugs not only oceans but inner currents. 2 currents carrying you toward experiences your daytime mind may not yet comprehend. Our task in the next moments is simple: to notice, to stand very still at the edge of our own awareness, and watch for the faint torchlight of 5 approaching signs. We are ready. Let us take the first step into the forest of symbols, paradoxes, and dazzling echoes hand in hand. Eyes open, hearts alert, determined to recognize each sign before it fully claims us, so that when it does, We meet it not as strangers, but as longtime friends, reunited beneath the whispering leaves. Sign 1. The soft severing from the material script. Picture this: a perfectly ordinary Tuesday morning. You slip into the same office chair that has held the imprint of your body for years. Yet today it feels subtly alien, as if someone slipped a replacement under you in the night. Your fingers hover above the keyboard, but the familiar cadence of emails has turned cryptic, like a language you once spoke fluently and somehow forgot while you slept. The scroll of social media, once a quick hit of connection, leaves behind a gentle ache, as though your soul were homesick for a country no selfie can capture. This, dear traveler, is the first sign, a quiet loosening of the bolts that fasten your identity to the material script you have rehearsed for decades. It rarely starts with drama. No thunderclap, no pink-slipped dismissal from the universe. It is more like the slackening of a violin string music still possible, yet oddly out of tune. You may try valiantly to retighten that string, skip your usual latte for something stronger, slap on an upbeat playlist, mutter just a phase A, but the feeling persists. The chair squeaks differently. The fluorescent lights hum louder. A spreadsheet's neat columns suddenly resemble prison bars. I remember my friend Mara, a marketing executive, whose calendar once looked like a mosaic of color-coded purpose. One spring morning, she discovered she could not remember why quarterly targets mattered to her personal joy. She described the sensation as a clear fog, crystalline awareness of her discontent, missed everywhere else. That contradiction is the jailbreak's opening volley. You begin to sense that life is rehearsing a new script backstage, preparing to swap scenery the moment you dare peek behind the curtain. If you feel the severing, don't panic. The rational mind will scramble for plausible causes. Maybe I need a vacation. Maybe this is low blood sugar. Maybe inflation just shrank my dopamine. Treat those thoughts kindly, as you would children frightened by thunder. Let them tug your sleeve, but do not let them steer. Turn instead to the restless pulse beneath, the wild call of authenticity, the part of you that has always known, however faintly, that meaning is not purchased, only recognized. Practical Compass #1. Keep a small card in your wallet that reads, "I will not pathologize my longing." When the severing aches, read the card. It's a pledge to honor your emerging truth rather than medicate it away. Now let's widen the frame. What happens after the violin string slackens? How does the melody continue when old chords no longer suffice? Listen for the second sign. Sign 2. The dilated heart. With the anchor of material certainty loosening, sensation floods in. You walk through a crowded terminal, and the air feels electric voices, not merely noises but colored currents brushing your skin. News headlines bruise with startling immediacy. A stranger's kindness wells your eyes. A crimson sunset on the commute back seems to crack something tender in your chest. This heightened empathy is not sentimentality. It is life tuning your instruments to finer frequencies. One evening, I exited a subway station behind an elderly man who shuffled so slowly that a knot of commuters formed behind him. Ordinarily, I would have slipped past, rationalizing urgency. That night, my breath caught. I felt the fatigue of his legs as if they were my own. A tender warmth surged up my spine, and for one block, I matched his painstaking rhythm. He never knew what miracle he performed. In that minute, an invisible door creaked wider inside me, reminding me of the quiet majesty hidden in human fragility. Heightened sensitivity can exhaust in the early stages. Think of emotional muscles suddenly lifting weight they never trained for. After the rush of attunement, you may crave silence, feel drained by office banter, or find yourself inexplicably weepy during commercials. Practical Compass #2. Schedule micro air retreats. 3 mindful breaths in a restroom stall. 10 barefoot seconds on balcony tiles at dawn. A 1-song meditation during your coffee break. Sensitivity is not weakness. It is the nervous system relearning the original language of unity. Science offers a phrase, mirror neuron resonance. Mystics speak of heart coherence. Both point to the same mystery. The borders between selves are less concrete than we assume. When your heart dilates, you begin to perceive humanity as a single organism. Every joy and sorrow a pulse in a shared bloodstream. Empathy opened. Where next? Into that newly softened chest. A 3rd sign flickers a lantern in dusk. Sign 3. Intuition's lantern. Imagine stepping outside at twilight. Streetlights haven't clicked on, yet a quiet amber glow seems to hover over decisions you once approached analytically. A route you never take tugs at you, and later you learn you missed a gridlocked accident. A resume looks flawless, yet something tightens in your stomach. Months later, the company collapses. You dream of a childhood friend. Wake to find their text awaiting. Neuroscientists call such hunches subcortical pattern detection. Poets call them whispers of the soul. Both might be accurate spirit and synapse collaborating in an invisible workshop. Practical Compass #3. The next time a choice arises, will you say yes to that project? Swipe right on that profile. Sign that lease pause. Picture each option as a doorway. Observe not just rational pros and cons, but the orchestra of body sensations. Does one doorway evoke lightness behind the sternum? A subtle upward stretch in the spine? Does the other cause a faint constriction in the throat? These microsignals speak in a dialect older than language. Record your observations in a journal. Over weeks, patterns emerge, weaving trust in your inner compass. Let's ground this in story. Some years ago, I was offered a lucrative position that seemed tailor-made for my resume. Yet every time I pictured signing the contract, a heavy fog pooled around my diaphragm. I declined against polite advice. 3 months later, the company was caught in a scandal that decimated its staff. Was that foresight rational probability or metaphysical guidance? I no longer parsed the difference. The lantern glowed. I followed. Careful intuition is not infallible. A lantern illuminates the next few steps, not the entire forest. Discernment matters. Keep the analytic mind as co-pilot, not mutinous captain but vigilant scout. Together, reason and intuition chart a path neither could map alone. The lantern grows brightest in darkness, which ushers in the 4th sign, the sanctity of chosen solitude. Sign 4. Sanctuary in solitude soon. You may crave hours alone the way parched lips crave water. Not because you dislike people, but because you sense a subtle conversation unfolding beneath language, one you can hear only in quiet spaces. Your evening playlist softens into ambient hush. You wander parks without podcasts. Let phone notifications languish like unopened letters. Friends tease. You've turned hermit. Smile gently. They are half right. The caterpillar withdrawing into its chrysalis is not antisocial, it is architecting wings. Solitude practiced without intention can sag into numb scrolling, but solitude practiced as ritual becomes sanctuary. Practical Compass #4. Create micro-ceremonies. Light a candle before journaling. Brief flame signals consciousness that you are entering sacred terrain. Before sleep, place a hand over your heart. Breathe slowly. Ask one question aloud. Where am I being called? Then rest in wordless listening. Walking alone? Imagine each footstep planting a seed of clarity in the soil. A cautioned solitude will unearth buried feelings. Old grief, dormant regrets, unexplored passions, they surface like letters long lost in the post. Welcome them as guests, however unruly. Each brings a fragment of the map you are piecing together. Remember the moon. Once a month it disappears from the sky so it can return full-faced. Your periodic retreats mirror that cosmic rhythm, allowing your inner night to reset its stars. In the hush of solitude, your senses attuned, intuition humming. Something wondrous happens. The external world begins to speak back in symbol and serendipity. Sign 5. The clockwork of synchronicity. It starts playfully. A song you haven't heard since adolescence drifts from a passing car, exactly as you recall a lost dream. A stranger quotes the book you were considering buying. Repeating numbers 11, 222 appear on dashboards, receipts, phone screens. Skeptics crygopophenia, meaningless pattern seeking. Yet when the patterns nudge you toward growth again and again, doubt dissolves into wonder. During a hollow season after my father's passing, I saw 11 with almost comedic frequency. One dreary morning, I muttered to an empty room, "If there's meaning here, prove it." Hours later, a stranger on a bus tapped my shoulder. "You dropped this." He handed me a crumpled magazine page. Across the top, in bold serif letters, "Trust the process." Coincidence? Maybe. But grief's vise loosened just enough for breath. Synchronicity became not proof of cosmic puppetry, but a love note from a universe, woven with meaning, waiting for attentive eyes. Practical compass #5. Treat synchronicities as breadcrumbs. Record them without frenzy. Over months, you will discern a choreography so precise, no human algorithm could design it, unless the designer laces logic with mystery. Organic segue. Weaving the 5 now, notice the interlacing sensitivity feeds intuition. Solitude amplifies sensitivity. Synchronicity rewards courage. When you act on intuition, detachment from the material script grants space to notice all the rest. They are not 5 rungs on a ladder, but 5 tones in a chord. Strike one and the others begin to vibrate. This symphony rearranges your inner landscape. But awakening is not all velvet epiphany. There will be disorientation, nostalgia for the comfort of old illusions, nights where spacious awareness feels like cosmic loneliness. In those valleys, return to 3 anchors: breath, body, benevolence. Breathe slowly. Feel the miracle of aliveness in your limbs. Anchor attention in your soles, your palms, the cradle of your pelvis. Then offer kindness to a spider on your windowsill, a harried cashier, the part of you that still clings to yesterday's script. Kindness is the campfire that keeps the pilgrim warm when the stars hide behind cloud. Let's conduct a brief inner inventory. Hollow pleasures. Did your favorite hobby taste oddly flat this month? Sign 1 might be inviting you to repurpose passion. Surge of empathy. Did a stranger's mood soak into you like rain through denim? Your heart may be dilating psi-accurate hunch. Recall a gut yes-no you obeyed. Did events confirm your inner compass? Lantern confirmed canceled plans for quiet. Did you trade social buzz for journaling or a forest trail? Sanctuary in motion. Cosmic wink. Did an uncanny alignment make you grin at the sky? Synchronicity applauds. Jot 1 sentence about each. Seeds sprout faster when named. Before we glide toward our conclusion, remember, experiencing these signs confers no badge of superiority. The ego, clever chameleon, will try to wear spiritual awakening like designer couture. Smile at the impulse. Watch it fade. True awakening dismantles hierarchy. It widens the circle of us until not a single blade of grass is excluded. So where does this leave us? With a choice. You can lull the severing back to sleep with retail therapy and louder playlists. Or you can lean in, trust the ache, honor empathy, follow intuition's flicker, guard solitude like a rare orchid, decode reality's winks. Choose the latter, and you step into a partnership with existence itself, co-creating a narrative expansive enough to house your deepest questions and tender enough to cradle every heartbeat around you. Slow concluding bridge, setting up final section. In a few breaths, we will gather these threads, tie them into a compass you can carry tomorrow and every tomorrow after. But for now, linger in the hush we have cultivated. Sense the faint pulse beneath your sternum. That pulse is older than your name, older than the sun's first flare. It speaks without words. Wake, beloved. The road is opening. We have wandered through 5 thresholds: disconnection from the material script, dilation of the heart, intuition's lantern, sanctified solitude, and the clockwork of synchronicity. Perhaps you glimpse them shimmering on your own horizon. Perhaps they are already blooming beneath your feet. Wherever you stand, take courage. The path is personal but never lonely. Every seeker who watches this video forms an invisible constellation, each star guiding the others through night. If confusion shadows your steps, recall Mara staring at her skyscraper, my subway companion, the stranger with the magazine. Ordinary scenes, extraordinary meaning. Awakening hides in plain sight, waiting for attention as simple as a breath held an instant longer. I invite you now to become an active voice in this unfolding dialogue. In the comments, share one sign you recognize and how it manifests in your daily life. When you speak your truth, you light a lantern for someone still stumbling in dusk. If you found value here, gift this video to a friend whose dreams have lately felt louder than their to-do list. And if you crave deeper companionship on the path, subscribe and ring the bell. Together we will explore practices to embrace each sign with grace. Above all, trust the subtle architecture of your own experience. You are not losing reality, you are shedding a smaller map for a grander terrain. The universe is not outside you beckoning you forward. It is through you yearning to know itself. Each step you take toward awakening is a step the cosmos takes toward self-recognition. So breathe, traveler. Feel the hush between heartbeats grow luminous. The 5 signs are already here, brushing your sleeve, tugging your sleeve, scribbling invitations in synchronicities and silences. Answer them, and the doorway opens not to another world, but to the hidden depth of this one. Until our next journey, walk gently, listen deeply, and remember, the awakening you seek is seeking you, in every breath that dares to whisper home.